Guys, I'm your host, Board Leader, and welcome to Board Squadron. Before today's episode, I just want to give a quick update at our new merch. If you're interested, comment or send a PM. I would like to start a Patreon. I just haven't figured out what the tiers would be. I don't think I would be asking for a lot, but just having something as a form to keep up this hobby of mine. So if you have any ideas, maybe you could comment to help me out here, what you guys would like to see, what you guys usually see with these tiers and gaming channels, just to be able to help me grow and become very popular. And maybe send out some merch. Got some of this. I have another logo ready for maybe like a kid shirt or maybe just something different that looks like this. I just haven't made in a shirt yet for merch, or even stickers. The stickers would be cool. Alright, so let's get into it. Our episode today would be one of my favorites of all time. It is Marvel Champions, the card game. It is a living card game, meaning every pack and box that you buy will always contain the same cards. Marvel Champions, you take the role of a hero with your friends who are also other heroes, attempting to work together to defeat the villain twice before he defeats all of you or accomplishes his scheme. Some villains have one scheme to go through, some have a little progression of schemes to go through. Also, a quick shout out to my past friends that did play this game with me before I moved over here to where I am now. I miss you guys, and yeah, we should definitely play together when I see you all again. This game is a deck builder as well, of 40 to 50 cards. Let's talk about that. So first, each person takes an alter ego / hero. Our example, we're going to be using one of my favorites of all time, Scott Summers, Cyclops. Each hero comes with 15 identity-specific cards that will represent the hero themselves. So our example of Cyclops, we will not be seeing any swinging web kicks that Spider-Man uses. Each hero also comes with a nemesis set. This is a personal villain with some other bad stuff unique to that villain. Cyclops has Mr. Sinister. Spider-Man will have Vulture, etc., etc. They also come with an obligation. It is like a personal crisis that you have to deal with by yourself at some point during the battles. For Cyclops, they look like this. You could also tell with their symbol on the bottom. Besides the 15 identity-specific cards, you have aspects to choose from. The aspects are the colors. You can have blue for leadership, yellow justice, green protection, red aggression, and basic cards. If you bought the Deadpool expansion or the Deadpool pack, he comes with pink cards that are pool aspect. All the aspects are interchangeable through any of the heroes for your deck building. The only rule is that it could only be one aspect. So we are going to be leadership Cyclops, so blue, but in Scott's alter ego setup ability, we can use X-Men of other aspects. So, which is why in this deck, I will have an aggression Sunfire or a protection Iceman. So you will have 25 to 35 of an aspect combined with basics, or just the aspect, to make your 40 to 50 card deck limit. Let's talk about some of the cards that are available. Now, in your deck building, you're going to include the cards. The card types that you have available are allies. Allies are placed on your field, ready for an action to perform. Supports. Supports stay on your field, helping you and your team or other players during the game. Upgrades. Upgrades also stay on your field, but they will go to either your field or maybe a character to enhance their stats or their effects. This particular one gets attached to an ally to help his stats. Events are one-time effects. You pay for their cost, use its effect, and play it. And then it goes into the discard pile. The last type of card you're able to add are player side schemes. These are little missions for you and your team to complete for a bonus effect to happen. This one will give each person a new set aside ally that are set aside. They will be this. Your form will indicate certain powers or effects that you're able to use. So as Scott Summers' alter ego action, though regular cards don't have a full background like this, they will just more like look like this. You have the character name, your hit points, which is your health, and your hand size. Be mindful, your hand size can and will change depending on what form you're in. Hercules, which is one of the newer characters, has a hand size of 4 with the hit points of 14. Scott Summers, with the hit points of 10, will keep the 6 hand size as alter ego, but in hero form, it will be 5. This is the most general that you'll see. Is 6 alter ego, 5 hero form. Some cards will tell you what you're able to play them as. This meditation event card will reduce the cost of my next card by 3 by exhausting myself, which is symbolized by just tapping it if you're like into magic. I cannot do this card as the hero. Same for the Ricochet Beam. It is a hero action and it'll be bolded like that to say what form you could be in. You are not going to Ricochet Beam with an attack as Scott Summers. I'd like to think of it, if it helps, as alter ego. I'm out of the fight, out of the battle, out of the room or city or whatever you're doing. And going to hero form means I'm back into the fight. So I like to think of it like that. If I'm Scott Summers hanging out at the X Mansion, I'm not going to Ricochet being the enemy. The villains you fight will always have 3 forms. There are some scenarios where you just fight multiple villains at once, so you only use one of them. But most of the time, it will be 3 forms of a villain. You use 1 and 2 if you're playing standard, or 2 and 3 if you're playing expert mode. Or, I guess if you're really up for the challenge, you can go through all 3 if you would like. They also have powers, which we will talk about in a second. Along with this, they also have their schemes, which are double-sided, one for a setup effect, and one that they're trying to accomplish. This one for Taskmaster, if this stage is completed, the players lose the game. So, if Taskmaster is being used, he only has 1 scheme. Some will have 2, some will have 3. He will also have a villain set, which you will see on the bottom left for that villain that they're always using. Oh, and maybe I should say this. The scheme tells you the contents of the stuff you're able to use. These are all called encounter sets. It is recommended to use the Weapon Master with this set. And to make it more difficult, you could either add more. You'll also always use the standard encounter set as well. So on Taskmaster's villain encounter deck, which are with the graybacks, are cards that the villain will use against us. Some cards from the Weapon Master set. A standard set has 7 cards in it, so there will always be 7 of the standard cards if I were to be looking for what set goes where and to use this in another villain encounter deck as well. Villain encounter deck has the villain set themselves, standard set, all 7, and any other modular sets that you add. So Weapon Master has 5. I will add all 5 of these, all standard, all Taskmaster set, along with my obligation. Every hero's obligation will also go into the encounter deck. Earlier, we were talking about the Nemesis set, the personal villain for each hero. These cards in a 5 will always be set aside. They may not come into the battle during the game. If they do, it will be signified when you get this Shadow of the Past, which in short term just means you're gonna get your encounter set into play against you. It says, reveal your set aside Nemesis minion and put it into play engaged with you. Reveal your set aside Nemesis side scheme and put it into play. The rest of the set aside Nemesis encounter cards go into the encounter deck. If you happen to get it twice or something, this card will gain Surge. So you're just going to get an extra card to deal with without the first repercussion. And it will be possible that there will be games where you don't get the encounter that to fight your Nemesis set, which makes it just a tad easier for you, having to deal with your personal villain problems and the main villain. This game is played in rounds. Each round has a player phase and a villain phase. The player phase and player order, meaning one at a time, the players will do their turns, everyone does their stuff, gets ready for their next turn, and then the villain will do their attacks or scheme and everything else that they're going to do. During the player phase, I have a quick example of things that you are able to do. You can ask another player to trigger an action. Maybe one of my allies could give me a resource for free. We'll talk about that in a second. But you could ask other players during your turn to activate either something on their field or an event from their hand if they're in the correct form. You can play other cards. You could use their effects and trigger actions. And there is no order to what you have to do these. You can do these in any order that you feel is best. So maybe I would ask someone out of turn to let me have a resource or activate something on their end. I can play cards on my field. This is an upgrade that gets attached to the villain. I can do cards on my field to activate their effects. I can activate my Quartz Visor to deal damage to Taskmaster since he has an upgrade attached instead of using my own personal ability. This just helps me pay for it as well. I can do a basic power. A basic power are one of the colored stars to the left of your character. Blue is a basic thwart. Thwarting goes to the scheme. It can be the main scheme, a player side scheme, or other side schemes that the villain will bring out. And I take off that much. I could do a basic attack, and as the red, to the villain or a minion that the villain brought out. A basic defense is used out of turn to negate that much damage according to your hero's defense stat. In Alter Ego, you also have the basic recovery. So I can recover 3 life, no more than 10, to do a basic recovery power. So any star on the left is a basic power, a basic thwart, basic attack, basic defense, or a basic recovery. If I wanted to do a basic thwart, I'm still able to do a hero action attack. Just because you are not limited to 1 attack or 1 thwart per turn. You are able to do your basic power and events that give you attack ability or thwarting ability. And they'll be signified by their stuff. And I can also play allies. Allies can do their own ability. Some will be used to do their effects. Like this ally from the Hercules, I will exhaust him to draw a card. So I probably won't be using his powers. And other allies will have their own abilities. An ally can also thwart for that much or attack for that much. If they defend for you out of turn, they just take all the damage and you don't suffer anything unless the villain has something called overkill or trample in the magic terms. The little orange on the right is their health. When they do a power, their own, they take a damage or two or maybe none, symbolizing by the little bullets under them. His power, he would take this much consequential damage afterwards. This card is an alter ego action. I've used up all the cards on my field, but I'm not able to do this one because I am not an alter ego. However, I am allowed once per turn to manually change form from one state to the other. But since I was exhausted in the hero form and changed, I will be exhausted in the alter ego form. But now I am able to do any alter ego abilities on my field or in my hand. If I were to have waited, I'd be able to be ready and maybe make a basic recovery this turn. So let's talk about the last thing in this game that you really have to know, is the resources. The number on the top left is how many resources you need to pay for this card. All these cards are in my hand. I need other cards from my hand to pay for that one card that I want to play. Cards, resources, will either be blue, mental, red, physical, yellow, energy, and the green is a wild. So it could be anything I need. Any resource will pay for that card. I just need to have the same amount. Some cards are only resources, so they could be double, some are triple. So to play Phoenix from my hand, I need 3 resources. I can do 1 Genius because it has 2, and 1 Professor X because it is 3. I will have enough to play Phoenix. Or I can do 1 of these because each one has 1, and this would be 3, equal to paying for this card. Anything will pay for anything. Most of the time, it does not matter what you're using, but they will specify if they need to. One example would be this Nightcrawler card. When an X-Men character would take any damage from an attack, I could spend an energy resource to prevent that damage and return him to my hand. The optic visor does generate an energy resource, but it is for my effect. So I would have to generate or pay for one out of hand to do Nightcrawler's effect. Some event cards will have a general statement and extra effect if I paid for it. So looking at Captain America's Heroic Strike that cost 3. I spent 3 resources. No matter what, I get to deal 6 damage to an enemy. However, if one of those resources was a physical punch resource, I also get to stun the enemy. So no matter what, if I used 3 energies, I get the 6 damage. But if I were to use 1 punch instead, or all of them were punches, I get to deal 6 damage and also stun the enemy. After every player has done their turn, everyone readies up according to their form, draws their new hand size, and then it is the villain phase for the round. The villain will either attack you or scheme going towards his objective, depending on what form you're in. He does this with his basic stat and a boost. You give him a face down card and you declare if you want to defend or not. Defending will just mean you're exhausted and you will have to find a way to ready up during your next turn, since you will have all readied up by the end of your turn. Or if you don't, you just take the full damage. His stat plus a face down boost. When counting boosts on the encounter set, there will be 0 through 3 stars that you are counting. You are only counting these boost icons during his activation against you. So for this attack, he would attack me for 2 plus nothing for 2 damage. Or if he had drawn this card, 2 plus the 3 damage according to the boost. Some cards will have a star icon that does not count as a boost icon, so it will be 0. However, this is when you do the boost effect, the bottom half of a card that says boost. This guy, if I'm in hero form, I take a damage, otherwise I place a threat on the main scheme. If he comes out as a normal card, which we'll get to in a second, we only do the first half. So in hero mode attack, he schemes in alter ego. After he activates against everybody, so after he attacks or schemes everyone gets 1 face down encounter card. This will represent either more schemes, trouble he wants to give, just an event for the villain to do, or minions to bring out into play. This one would have been a minion. Somebody else could get a treachery, which is a one-time event, and it also depends on their form as well. They're not going to gang up on me in alter ego because I'm not in the battle, but they will gang up on me in hero mode, so all the minions and the villain attack me. Some cards will get rid of my cards on the field. Some will be side schemes, more trouble to give. One could be my obligation, and this is only when I have to deal with it. If me or another player gets an obligation, tells you to give to that player to deal with their personal crisis. If this was a face down boost card, I do not have to deal with this. I only have to deal with the +2 to a stat, his attack or his scheming. So let's get our web slingers ready, put on our helmets or grab our shield and take on our villain and get ready for some Marvel Champions.